Okay, welcome back to Gant's Garage. Today we are at Allen's, and Allen's shop, where we keep the frequent flyer here. It's summertime or springtime in Florida, so
Yeah.
be leery of the mosquitoes. But we're just going to kind of go over this past year, 2019, and see what we did right, what we did wrong.
Right.
See what was fun, what was not fun, and basically what sucked and what didn't suck. So, Big Dave isn't here. He doesn't like the camera too much, so you'll see him in some of the videos and stuff, and some of the clips. But as far as interviewing or anything like that, he stays behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We call him Mr. Big, and but without him, none of this would be possible.
That's
so
for sure.
we want to thank him and Phil.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Phil doesn't get to go to all the races, like I don't get to go to all the races, but Phil's a big help when the races that he does go, and the ones that he doesn't go, he's on the phone all the time. So
Thank you, Phil.
good to thank you, Phil, as well.
And thank you, Toby.
Well, we do what we do, but me and Alan have been friends for a long time, and raced a lot of different stuff together, and
Amen.
And the gasser stuff. I don't know how this started. I don't know.
I'm not sure either.
I'm not sure either.
But I'm glad I dragged you in it.
Yeah, I got drug in it. I didn't know it. I'm like, what? We doing what? But anyway, and Mr. Big's been around for a while.
Yeah,
so
he's been in racing for a long time too.
A long time, and I guess it was his idea more than anything to do this. So it is what it is. So. But it is the Southeast Gassers. Quayne runs that group, and good God, there was 11 races last year.
In a short time.
In a very short time, and we'll go through them real quick. Shady Side.
Okay.
First race of the year, had the small block in the car. Small block, stock injection, 4-speed of course, straight axle front, old school gasser deal, no 2-steps, no any start line aid, basically hold the motor whatever you can hold it at and let the clutch loose and shift it.
Yep.
Clutch assisted, you can't have a Liberty or anything like that in it. You've got to actually use the clutch to get it out of gear.
And put it in gear.
And put it in gear, but these things go in gear. Once you get it out of gear, it goes in the next gear. You just
most
kind
of the time.
Most of the time. But what you kind of got to use the clutch to get it to come out of gear. But Shady Side, first race of the year, small block stack injection. Ran the stack injection small block last in 2018, and had trouble with it all year.
Yeah. Breaking
valve springs, this, that, the other. And I guess we'll say it's just a Smith motor.
Yes.
Steve Smith motor.
Yes.
Good motor, makes good power.
Good power.
Just struggled with valve train issues.
Yes.
Struggled.
Yes.
And worked on it and worked on it and worked on it and worked on it.
Every race and even at the races.
Right.
Struggle. Yeah.
All year. At the end of the year, found some issues that we think was the main problem. Fixed them over the winter, and then came out at Shady Side, and the thing frickin' ran great. Valve train issues were gone.
Won the race.
I don't remember what we qualified at, but won the race, and I believe it was against Steve Davis in the final.
Yep.
So good outing, ran really well with it. Of course, my notes are terrible. I don't know what number we qualified, but if you've ever been to a Southeast Gasser race, they don't post scores on the school board, no times on the school board, and they do give you a time slip,
Yeah.
but they don't announce any times, they don't do any of that. That's debatable. I've talked to some people that really would like to see the times on the school boards, but Quayne says no. So
Yeah.
it is what it is at this point. But second race, London, Kentucky. That is when us Florida people had a hurricane.
Yep.
So it was like rain, more rain. It's lingering out there. Where's it going? Is it coming towards us, going above us, going south of us? And we all made the decision to stay at home.
And I think they had to run the race on Sunday because of the rain on Saturday.
Because of the rain up there, because it was the
Yeah.
weather up there. Third race, Barrington, Alabama.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh boy,
That was a tough one.
new motor.
New motor.
Mr. Big said, "Oh, I'm ready for a new motor," and had Scott
Scott from
Yep.
Par Racing.
Par Racing build us a big block.
Yep.
Carburetors.
Yep. And we had a winning combination with the small block,
Right.
and now we've got a whole new motor, a whole untested combination,
Right.
and going to a race.
And I think we went to Bradenton
One test
or St. Pete one time before we went to Barrington.
and realized that we were in trouble.
That we were in trouble because this thing did not want to leave the start line. You could outrun it on foot.
Yeah.
So, unless I don't know. At Barrington, we didn't know what. We put it on the mat and it didn't want to leave. So, we knew we were in trouble.
Yeah.
But we worked on it, adjusted the driving, and luckily we got through all that and actually ended up winning that race against Todd Oden in the final. That was a tough one.
That was a tough one. That thing had a bog in it that was so bad the engine would go silent when I let the clutch out, and then it'd come back up slowly.
And the thing about it is just the curve of the motor changed dramatically between the small and the big. The big block makes more power, but it makes it at different times. And we were geared, set up, everything for the small block, and then when we did this, everything changed, of course. And we knew it was going to change a little bit, but not as much as it did.
Oh yeah.
So, and we've spent the rest of the year basically working on it.
Every race.
Every race, and
Yeah.
we'll go over that at the end. But the Barrington, we end up winning. So the fourth race was Tennessee, Elbridge, Tennessee. We went up there. I was up there for that. I was up there for Barrington, and I was up there for Tennessee race. Ran okay, still fighting issues. A little better. It's a little better. We keep messing with gears and RPMs and carburetors and
timing.
And it's getting a little better, but it ain't fixed. But it's getting a little better. But qualified halfway decent, and ended up red lighting in the semis against Blackwell.
Yeah.
Blackwell ended up winning that race, and well deserved. He ran good all day at that race. Thing was doing massive wheel stands.
Yeah, he'd have been hard to beat.
He would have been hard to beat, and he just at that race everything seemed to click with him pretty good.
Yep.
And well deserved. They're good guys.
I agree.
And they're well deserved. All the guys that run A-Gas are
good guys.
all good guys. And any of them could win at any time, without a doubt. There's no slouch. No slouch.
No.
You know?
No.
Except maybe Gabe. We'll pick up Gabe a little bit. But Gabe, whoo, you better go for it. You better be ready to start line against Gabe.
Ready when you go up against Gabe. He is gonna leave you sitting on the start line.
Oh my God. Crazy. So it ended up red lighting in the semis against Blackwell. That's the one that, if you look at the video, you go in and you had a little bit more brake pressure and it was dragging the car in. And when you turn the second bulb on, the top bulb, the second bulb come on, when you push the clutch back in, the car rocked back because of the straight axle deal. It rocked back and turned the light off.
Yeah.
And then you were like, oh, I gotta, and when you brought the motor up and the counterweight started coming in, when you let that clutch pedal out, it was starting to kick your foot and it went like that. It rolled like 4 inches, 5 inches. Yeah. And I looked at it, I saw that and I was like, oh boy.
I couldn't recover from that.
This could be bad.
Yeah. And I tried to recover, but it wasn't going to happen.
Exactly. And you knew what it did. Yeah. But it's one of those deals, you can't go up there and go, okay, I know if I leave, when I leave, it's going to go red, so I'll wait. Well, every time you wait, think you're going to wait like that, it bites you.
Yeah, it don't always work the way you want it to.
Right. So you just do what you do and try to slow yourself down a little bit, but it is what it is, and it went red. Piedmont was the next one. Luckily, you won that one. Ran pretty well.
Yeah, I was getting used to the clutch pedal again because we had so many changes in the car, trying to make it leave the starting line. So I was just trying to slow myself down in the car and get a feel for the clutch pedal again because it was so different.
Right.
And it did start to come around, you know.
Right. And then Gabe in the final.
Yeah, Gabe was in the final again.
Gabe was in the final again against you. You won against Gabe, but that was no gimme.
Oh,
Gabe is.
Yeah, I barely beat him. I had a finish line, and I mean it was by that much, if any, whatever.
Yep.
He was right there the whole time. In fact, I barely come around him.
Yeah. He was out on it.
Oh, he was way.
He was out on it, and he just kind of kept after it.
Kept after it slowly, and I mean, I honestly didn't think I had won the race.
Right.
It was that close.
Right. And a lot of people, I didn't go to that one, but a lot of people said the same thing. They were like, oh my God, it was so close.
My hat's off to Gabe, man, because he was really nailing it. He made a really good run.
Right. And he makes a lot of good runs.
Yeah, he does.
He really does. If by watching them and stuff, you wouldn't think he has any problems.
No.
But apparently they have a lot of problems like everybody else, but he just doesn't show it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
tough competitor.
Right. So next one was the Lyons, Indiana, the halfway around the world.
Whew, that was a long drive.
I didn't go to that one.
Holy cow.
Y'all left freaking
2 days ahead of time.
3 days ahead of time, if I remember right.
Yeah, 3 days ahead of time. Yeah, that was a long race in the middle of the cornfield. Nothing around for miles. No gas stations, no convenience stores, no hotels. It was literally in the middle of the cornfields.
Right, and
it was hot.
Still had, I think there was 15 A-gas cars there. Not everybody made that trip.
Yeah.
But a lot of them did, and a lot of the good cars, of course, made that trip. And
the track was really bad. It was so hot and greasy. Nobody could get down the track. Everybody was struggling all day. And believe it or not, being that we had a bad track, it was helping this car because it wasn't bogging so bad.
Right,
it was actually spinning the tire.
It wasn't picking the front end up. It was actually spinning the tire. I don't think hardly anybody picked the front end up at that race.
I don't think so either.
It was definitely a different deal.
And
but ended up winning it. And winning it against Gabe in the final.
Again.
So
he was definitely after me.
Yeah. Next race was the Mooresville.
Okay.
Mooresville, Carolina race. That's the race where we had the match race.
Okay.
That Queen set the match race up between you and Phillips.
Okay.
The best 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Ran it during qualifiers, which It is what it is, but.
And we had hurt the motor at Lyons, Indiana, and didn't realize we had hurt the motor.
Right.
Until like 2 days before we were supposed to leave to go to the Mooresville race.
Right.
So we had the motor out, drove it to South Carolina, and Scott at Parr stopped everything he was doing, completely rebuilt this motor, fixed everything wrong with it, gave it back to me, and I drove back a few hours later, put the motor in the car the day before we were leaving to the race, and then left and went to the race. So,
Right.
So hats
Right.
off to Scott, you know.
Yeah, no kidding. That's right.
At Parr racing, he did a real good job. Them boys knew we had a match race at Mooresville
Right.
against the Fulton motor, the Gene Fulton racing shop. So I was under the gun to win that match race for them boys at
Right.
racing.
That was a week thrash right there the
Yeah.
week before. Major.
Oh yeah.
Major. So, but went up there, won the first match race round,
Yeah, it was
which
3
was
rounds.
Friday night.
Yeah.
Was Friday night.
Yep. We had to race 3 times, and you know, whoever won the most races, you know, won the match race. And
All right, 2 out of
we beat
3.
him the first match round, and then he beat us the second round, and then we beat him the third round.
Right.
And
First,
that was the match race.
right. First round was Friday night. We beat them. We outrun them Friday night.
Yeah.
Saturday we come around. We got 2 qualifiers Saturday for our race Saturday night. That's how the gassers deal goes. You get 2 qualifiers on Saturday, and then you race Saturday at 2 o'clock is first round, 2:30, something like that, first round. So Saturday come around, first qualifier, we go out there, and he outruns us. Basically, the thing went out there and kind of spun through second gear a little bit,
Yep.
and actually got a little bit sideways and stuff, and he pulled away from you
Yep.
on our first qualifier, which is the second run. So now we're tied 1-1 going into the last qualifier of the race, and our 1-1 in the match race deal, and went out there and run pretty good, and basically, if I remember right, it wasn't real close, but it wasn't.
We were ready for that third match.
Yeah,
race.
we were.
I wasn't letting that one go no matter what, because them boys worked too hard on that motor to get it fixed.
Right,
for us.
and we had, at that point, a couple of runs under our belt for that qualifier, and we're like, okay, we made some good decisions on what to do, and it worked, and the thing, it took off, and ran really well. So then we come around for Saturday night for the race itself, and we end up runner-up against Phillips. Phillips beat us in the final of that race.
Yeah.
So we beat him in a match race, and then he turns around and beats us in the final.
Final. Yeah.
Same thing in the final. We just went out there in second gear, and the thing kind of got sideways a little bit, just kind of, and he drove off a little bit from us.
Yeah.
Kudos to him. He's
Yeah.
another tough deal.
Competitor. Yep.
You got to be on your game with him as well all the time.
Yeah. If one thing goes wrong in that car, you're done. You're gonna lose that round.
Exactly. There's no pulling it back in gear and driving on it.
No.
They're gone.
They're going.
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to say what times it runs because Quayne doesn't like to tell what times it runs, so we're going to leave it at that. But they're fast enough. They're faster than they've ever been in the 60s, guarantee you. But you ain't pulling it back in gear or something and driving and catching them. It ain't happening.
No.
So, next race, Radford, Virginia. Radford was a little oddball race.
Yeah, and I like that track. You know, we did a lot of testing of that track in the previous years, but it was a tough race for me that day. The sun comes down at Radford at about 6 o'clock. You can't see the starting line. The tree is just, the sun is right here and the tree is right here, and you just can't see around that. You just can't see.
Right.
And that threw me off as well as some of the other racers off.
Right. And the Virginia race, the common factor between at the race, and all the racers said the same thing. It was like once everybody went up there and pre-staged and staged, it took them forever to turn the tree on, to go green. And it was like just, it was to the point to where you were almost looking over at each other,
waiting on the
is there a malfunction?
Right.
You went red in the semis.
Yep.
And just set, and just.
And we had put duct tape over the windshield of that car all the way down to where I could just barely see through to try to block that sun.
Right.
So I was sitting there looking through this little gap in the tape, and now I'm waiting and waiting. I'm like, can I see? I couldn't really see well because the sun is so bright. So I thought, surely I must be late, and the tree still had not activated.
Right.
And I red lighted.
Right. And red lighted the Gabe of all people, and the semis. So that was a tough race. I think Phillips ended up winning. The next one was Knoxville. Knoxville was a little different.
Yeah.
Qualified the very back of the pack.
Yep. Qualified 16th, and we thought we had a handle on the car. Thought we knew what we were doing, and qualified 16th. Which, wasn't such a bad thing. And then first round, a car came around and ran the fastest car of the whole of the meet.
Well, we can go ahead. We can go ahead and tell them. Basically at that race, we qualified number 16. I didn't go to that race. I was on the phone the whole race. Right. But basically, we had tried some. Moving carburetors, we had tried this, tried that, and we were basically starting at a very low engine speed and letting the thing leave the starting line. Yeah. And the thing was real slow off the starting line. So as he went up, we kept bringing the engine RPM up. It got a little better, bring it up, get a little better. Of course, when you do that, your reactions get a little better, your actions get a little better, reactions get a little better. Now the sun's down.
Yeah, and we had to try something because we had the slowest car there, so we had to try something to get the car to speed up.
Right. So, and like I said, in the meantime, between races, we were trying some different things to make things better, and we didn't know what. And if I remember right, that's the race you went to. And we didn't even test it the week before at all. No. We changed a bunch of stuff around and didn't have time to go test. I believe it was because it was raining a lot down here, and we didn't get a chance to go test. And we basically, you left to go up there, and it is what it is. But as you raised the engine RPM up and got the thing to leave the starting line and got better, the sun started going down, the lights get a little brighter, and we go red in the semis again. Yep. The red lights have killed us this year. Yep. And some of the reason the red lights has killed us this year, we got 2 more races to go over, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this now, is because of the new motor, because of we trying this and trying that, and making gear ratio changes and stuff like that to try and make the motor happier, the car has been getting worse and worse. It's been getting to where you can't drive it. You can't. It's a 4-speed, and it's a 4-speed that you got to shift. You got to let the clutch out of it, and you got, and everybody has to. It's not us, but the thing is just. Because it doesn't want to leave at a decent RPM, we have to bring the engine RPM up to get it to leave. There's no window there. It goes from tame, bog, to out of control, trying to eat the pavement off the start line.
Yep. And the RPMs gave the clutch a mechanical advantage over the clutch pedal.
Right.
So to increase the RPMs was helping to fix the bog, but it was also taking over what was happening with the clutch pedal.
Right. So the clutch pedal gets hard to push in because you're pushing against all that counterweight and stuff in the clutch pedal, and you got to push it in a little bit to get it to come out of gear. And like I say, you leave the starting line, you got to shift this thing 3 times. And
It's tough.
And let's just say you got to shift this thing 3 times in 4 seconds.
Yeah, and you're shifting second gear, half a second to the run.
Right.
And it's just a blink of an eye, a blur. And if you miss it, you don't make the run.
Right. Any missed gear, you're done.
Trouble, yeah.
Yeah. Any missed gear, you're done. So
Man.
as we've gotten the motor happier during the year, the car hasn't been getting happier during the year. It's been getting harder and harder and harder to drive. I couldn't do it. There's no way.
I'm barely able to do it either.
And you've struggled, and the last few races, the struggle has come to the surface because it's just gotten, and we knew it was getting bad, and we were trying to work on it but of course you sit back and you go, well, we should have done this, we should have done that. It is what it is, but at the meantime, while you're doing this, you're trying to get it better and trying to get it to where it's easier to drive. And that's what we struggle. And
it's been a struggle.
It's been a struggle. So next to the last race, I think we had the
Clutch pedal figured out some.
Yeah, and I think we had the points lead at that race as well over Phillips. I think, I'm not sure.
We might have been tied. No, we were tied going to the last race. We were tied for points.
We got Aikens.
Okay.
Then Shady Side.
Okay.
That was Knoxville. We relighted in the semis.
Okay.
And it was Phillips and Dean Jonas in the final.
Gotcha.
And Phillips won that one, and Dean runnered up. The Atkins, South Carolina, went out there, qualified decent. That race, for some reason, I don't remember why, but they delayed the race a little bit. It kind of went late.
Yeah, the track prep was a little bit off, and a lot of cars were losing traction. In fact, we crossed the center line and went into the other lane and barely avoided a major collision.
And qualifying.
In qualifying. So after that, they stopped the race because another car had crashed as well, and re-prepped the track surface to try to regain traction for these cars. And they only have a 10-inch wide tire, with close to 1,000 horsepower with a stick shift. So they had to do some work on the track to get the prep right so these cars could leave the starting line.
Right.
And then it, of course, caused a major delay in the time of day of racing.
Right. So it kind of went later. They tried to get these things done by 7 to 8 o'clock on a Saturday night to beat. The sun's down, but it's not too bad. The tracks are usually pretty good. No dews set in yet, and so forth. But at this race, it was a little bit later than normal. The dew was coming in, and no excuse on our part. It's just everybody had to deal with the dew, but it is what it is. And ended up runner up to Dean Jonas in the final with the little Chevy 2. If anybody don't know, Dean works for Tommy Mooney Race Cars.
Yeah.
Great bunch of guys, him and Tommy.
Great competitors.
Known them forever, and from the Pro Mod days, and a lot of work. If anybody's at one of the races and go see Dean's car, a work of art. A beautiful little Chevy 2. And Dean's a great guy. He'll talk to you, tell you anything you want to know.
Great competitor.
And great guy. And runner up to Dean in the finals. And sitting in the track, trying to wipe the windows off.
Oh yeah,
It was
I
bad.
pulled third gear, and it was, I was spinning the tire so bad, he just pulled right away from
Right.
me. There was nothing I could
But
do.
he run good all day.
He ran good all day.
He run good all day.
All
It wasn't a fluke.
Yeah.
I mean, he run it up in the race before that.
Yeah.
He struggled a little bit at the beginning of the year with gear ratios and clutch a little bit, and I think that him and Tommy were trying a couple of things.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pass anything past them two.
Yeah.
But at the end of the year, they really got this thing kind of figured out, doing good wheel stands and driving good and
Sure was.
tough.
Yeah.
Runner-up to Dean in the finals of that. Then that brings us to Shady Side. Shady Side was the last race of the year. The Shady Side,
We're tied for points. with
we're
Kenneth
tied for
Phillips.
points with Phillips.
Yeah.
We get to Shady Side, we unload the car, and this thing, he goes up, lets the clutch out, and
Car goes left. Immediate left. I almost ran the tree over.
bad.
And I had thought you guys lined me up in a bad spot on the racetrack. You know, because
Right.
the car's never done this. So we go up there for a second test run. This is Friday night, and the car does the same thing again.
Right.
And I mean, it doesn't go straight at all. It goes immediate left. So that's when I knew there's something wrong, you know. So we went back and worked on the car, couldn't find nothing wrong. Went out there for a third pass. I left the starting line. It still went to the left. I tried to drive it down the track and accelerate, hit the gas pedal so you guys could see on the starting line what is happening to the car.
Right.
And everyone thought it had a broke axle.
Something was, yeah.
Broke
Everybody said an axle's broken in that car.
Yeah.
And it did look like an axle was broken in that car.
Yeah.
But it wasn't an axle. We get it back, we take it and start looking at it, get it up, and we got a left rear shock. Yeah, left rear shock locked up.
For shock.
Locked up. Fully extended, locked. Will not move
Wouldn't move it at all.
at all. So at that point, we're looking for somebody for somebody to fix a shock, borrow shocks, do something. Who's got something that's the same length? Of course, nobody probably doesn't have something with the same vowing that we had. But at this point, you're racing. You do what you got to do to go from there.
And all we did was put the car in the trailer from the last race, took it out, did some minor service work, put it back in there for the final race, and it happened in transit,
Right.
traveling to the race.
You got to remember, we got 11 races, and this thing has traveled sitting in this trailer 30,000 miles.
Yeah.
So it beats the car up just as much as it does that trailer up.
Yeah, and we're in Florida, so every race we go to is 700 miles out and 700 miles in, or farther.
Right, right.
So,
And
so
so we
miles on it.
right, it's got some miles on it. So we get there, the shock's locked up. We find the shock locked up. We get a couple guys. I remember what the guy's name was that took it home. Took the shock home to his house to fix it.
Leslie Horn was one of them.
Carburetor Bob.
Carburetor Bob.
Carburetor Bob.
Took the shock with him to his
And
shop.
then
to work
Gabe,
on it.
Gabe found us a set of shocks. Another guy had a
Leslie
set
Horn
of
found us
shocks.
a set of shocks.
So we had spare shocks, and we also had our shock that Carburetor Bob took home fixed and got it back to us that night or the next morning.
Next morning.
We put the shock back on. It was fine. Our vowing was fine. But it got us through the race. Last race of the year, we're tied in points.
Yep, tied for points.
With
Kenneth Phillips.
Kenneth Phillips. So we got the shock fixed. We go back up. The thing leaves. It's still driving left a little. It's still doing this. It's still acting goofy. And we come back and we start digging. And we go to adjust the ladder bar. And we have a certain bit of preload in our ladder bar deal. And it's gone. The preload is gone. And I'm like, okay. So I'm looking underneath, I'm looking for cracks, stress, time joints. We're looking this thing over. We cannot
Broken
find
welds.
nothing wrong other than the preload is gone. So we go in there, put the preload back in it, go back out for a qualifier, and it's better.
It's better.
It's still leaving goofy, but it's better.
And I can't make a full pass under full acceleration. I keep having to lift to steer the car back to the right, but it is better.
Right. It's almost like it leaves okay, and then as the further it gets down the track, the worse it's getting.
Yeah.
So we come back, we jack it up, check our preload is gone again. I sit back and look down the ladder bar, and the ladder bar is all
bent,
twisted. And I'm like, well, there's where our preload is going.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, nothing we can do.
Nope.
We got to race what we got, and we put more preload in it. Now that bar it ain't straight no more. It's like this, but it's getting further down the racetrack.
Yeah.
Every time we come back, we're having to adjust our bar and put more preload in it, and adjust the wheelie bars, and because the wheelie bars are changing a little bit when that preload is gone.
Yeah.
So we're working on it.
And I'm trying to get down the track without lifting off the throttle pedal,
right,
under full acceleration, and I just can't get it to go.
Right.
I just can't drive it. It just
and like we said earlier, it has been getting a bear to drive as the year has gone.
Oh.
We've got the motor happier, but the car ain't happy, and it's getting now. We're at the last race of the year. This thing is a bear to drive. We got a locked up shock that's about to freaking run over the Christmas tree. The ladder bar's jacked up.
Yeah.
You go up there and you let the clutch out, and it's like you got a death grip on the steering wheel, trying to figure out where's this thing going.
Yeah, and you got to win the round against this guy,
right?
Because you're running for the championship. And I remember the round before, I think the second round of racing, the engine builder Scott had said that when I went across the finish line, the left front wheel was off the ground.
Right.
And I said, this ain't good.
Right.
This ain't good.
So we get by round one, we get by round two, we're going into the semis, and lo and behold, who we got to run in the semis?
I had to run Gabe.
We had to run Gabe in the semis.
Yep.
Gabe's in a borrowed car because his car
Blew up.
broke a motor in it, and he was borrowing Tony Turner's car.
Yep. It has a Hemi engine in it.
It's a big
Stack
Dodge,
injection.
39 Dodge with the old school Hemi in it. Beautiful, good looking car, great people, Tony and them. And mechanical fuel injection. And we didn't know, but the mechanical pump was starting to go out in it. And they were having trouble with it.
And of course, Gabe's always sharp on the Christmas tree. So I figured I'm going to have to cut a light. And at this point, we're lining the car up, pointing it to the right, so that when I let the clutch out, it turns to the left and is hopefully lined up, straight enough to go down the racetrack.
Right. And lo and behold, we go red in the semis. It is what it is. It's racing. Everybody goes red. The red lights have killed us a little bit this year.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's no excuse. But like I said, the motor's gotten happier, but the car hasn't.
Right.
And it's a bear to drive. And I don't drive it,
Fact.
but I can tell standing there watching this thing, it's a bear to drive. You've been around these things long enough.
It's the worst car I've ever driven.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And in retrospect, we end up number 2 in points. Phillips won the championship.
Yeah.
Kudos to Phillips.
Congratulations.
And great people as well. And he deserved it. He earned it. And we're making changes over the winter here. And we'll see if it helps. I think so. And we're going to look at, we look at what we did this past year and look at what worked, what didn't work, how to improve. And I think we've got a game plan for this year to make this thing. We're gonna try and concentrate this year, I think,
Is making it easier to drive.
right. I think we've got plenty of power. Scott and them have built plenty of power for us.
Fantastic motor for it. Yeah.
Look for us, Southeast Gasser races in 2020. God, I think there's 11 of them
Yeah, 11 races.
in 9 months.
Woo! This is the toughest racing I've ever done in my life. Bro.
This is going to be a tough year, and I think Mr. Big is we talked to him the other day, and I think Mr. Big has basically said, yeah, we're doing it.
We're doing it.
And you know, without Mr. Big funding all this and everything, we couldn't do this.
Nope, not at all. Hats off to Mr. Big. He's really been the backbone behind this.
Right, and he kind of lets us alone and lets us do what we want to do. He does give us pointers and directions a little bit, and he likes to try things, and we do try some of his stuff, and some of his stuff is like anything else. Some of it works, and some of it don't work. It no different than us trying stuff. It works and it don't work.
It don't work.
But we all,
It's part of racing.
it's part of racing, but we all are on the same team. We're all looking for, on this kind of the same page. We kind of all throw the ideas and we all look at what happened and put our ideas together and come up with a plan.
Yeah.
And it's work.
He's big in the safety aspect about that, and I can appreciate that. He really is.
Very big.
Very big in the safety aspect of this.
Right. And he's told Alan that, hey, if it don't feel right, push the clutch pedal in. You know, it is what it is. There's no use, there's no shame in it, and definitely don't want to crash a car over something this stupid.
Yeah.
So, especially, you don't want to crash a car, period, but
At all.
you don't want to crash, I
I'm
don't,
not trying to win a championship.
exactly.
Yeah.
Even winning the even, you don't want to crash a car.
No.
And me, I don't want to crash this car.
I don't either.
I
don't either.
This is an original. It's not a fiberglass aftermarket body. It's
This
not.
car has a title.
This car has a title. It's a
legitimate 61 Corvette.
right. Oh my God.
Yeah, original frame.
Original frame, and we do the best we can do to keep it nice and safe and clean and not get it to where beat up and can't go back to it, stock or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say it, but so I think that's a little bit of hindrance.
It is. It's tough. It's tough having a stock 61 Corvette that's, on the racetrack, and it's tough. And,
Right.
And I have to think about, make sure that I'm pointed straight and not going to hit the wall or my competitor in the other lane.
Right.
Not just for safety reasons, but also reason is I'm concerned about, the car itself being a street car that he could return to the street one day
Right.
if he wanted to.
Right. And like I said, Mr. Big is safety first, and if it does, I mean, honestly, if it does get wadded up, it is what it is, and he's good with it. Of course, it's going to be disappointing if it ever does happen for some stupid reason.
Oh, yeah.
Knock on wood,
Yeah.
but we all know the risk, but we try to.
Yeah, we do our best to make sure we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's.
Right, and of course, like anything else, you don't want to run over somebody else as well.
Right.
And we try to. Everybody in our group is pretty aware of the situation as well. They're not trying to run over somebody else either,
Yeah.
including us, and it works out. So if you're go to the Southeast Gasser website, they're on Facebook and the website as well. I'll link it on the bottom, and you can look at the 2020 schedule. And if you guys would like to come out and meet us and see us in action, please do. Don't hesitate. Everybody's welcome in the pits. Walk right up.
Absolutely.
Talk to us like you're your neighbor.
Absolutely.
Good, bad, ugly. Don't matter. We're big boys. We can handle it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
But-
a lot of fun. Bring your kids, bring your family.
It's a lot of fun. Our pits are almost everybody in the gasser deal is the same way. The pits are open. Everybody is welcome. You can walk up to anybody and talk to anybody.
And look at these cars.
And look at these cars and have
what they're made of.
right. And I would say 99% of them, if not 100% of them, you know, you want to sit inside one, you can sit inside one.
Yep.
You get your picture taken inside one.
Yep.
Autographs, T-shirts, everything is there as well. Quayne has done a very good job at that. The races are a little far for us, being the Florida guys.
Yeah.
I think we are the only Florida
We are.
gasser deal in it.
Coming out of Florida, that's it.
Yeah, I think we're the only one.
The only one.
And during the year, and we're going to follow it on my channel this year, every one single race, and upload every race, and get our perspective of it, and good, bad, and ugly, and we'll go from there.
Sounds
So,
good.
Thanks, Alan, and
Thank you.
thanks, Mr. Big,
Thank you, Toby. Thank you, Mr. Big.
Mr. Big, and Phil,
Yeah, thank you, Phil.
and Scott from Park.
Thank you, Scott from Parr.
I've never met the guy yet,
Thank God,
but
allowed to do this.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So till the next one, thank you.